Hi, I'm Matt Hernandez, and this is Let's Chat Books. Now, this is going to be a very interesting video for me to try to make. There's a profound point I want to make here, which I think that I'm a little distant from this topic in a sense. It's still near and dear to me, but to talk about the Bible as literature for a moment. I'm not saying that the Bible is just literature. I believe it as much as any person could believe it, and I cannot say how much of it is all literal, but as I go into the life of Jesus Christ, I do believe that is as literal as Christians who believe in the message of the Jesus Christ having died for our sins and believing in the Trinity and all that stuff. That I believe in that core message, as it's called mere Christianity and stuff. But nevertheless, and I hope that in no way I say some words by accident, I'm just trying to go a little bit to say that if you go to Bible studies regularly, in a sense, we are kind of doing, some literature in a sense, right? So, I don't know what it might be like if you've ever gone to a Bible study, or maybe you might watch this and you are pretty far removed from Christianity. And I don't know if other groups do this, if Jews or Muslims at all do this at all, or any other group. But let's say, for instance, if you are an anti-theist and your friend invites you to go to like a Bible study, well, if you go, you will see them, in a sense, doing literature, in a sense. Maybe to you, these just sound like characters, and however you see them as made up or whatever like that. And it's not exactly my goal at the moment to proselytize. I just am just trying to think of a topic to talk about literature and what that is, in a sense. And I'm also trying to be sensitive to not say that this is just purely literature, but I hope that people can get the gist of what I mean. And so, at some Bible study, maybe you go to a cafe, you go to somebody's house, you might have a few moments of prayer. Maybe people play instruments for a little bit. Maybe you break off into groups, or you're just always within one group. Well, then if you then read a passage, whether it's a whole chapter or just part of a chapter, and then you discuss it. Now, if there's some leader there who's read it more than everybody else, and they're more prepared with the questions, with maybe a theme, maybe there's a running theme that the leader decides to choose. There are aspects of that in which we're doing literature, in a sense. And I hope to remain respectful in my words, and I hope that all of my words come out well, because, I do treat this as history. But even inside of another historical context, there are characters. As I looked at some of the essays I might look at, there are characters in that. When I did a recent essay by Justin Cronin, My Daughter in God, as he's telling us a story in that, he himself is a character in his own life, in his essay, telling us stories, and he's a character within that. Well, it's not like I attend every Bible study or sermon I could watch or something like that. I just listen to apologetics to go to sleep. I don't know, just to hear their little hums of their voices as I go to sleep kind of puts me to sleep pretty well. Well, so I hope I do all this as respectfully as I reasonably can. But let's go here now. Where am I at? 4 minutes. Oh my goodness. So if I read here, and this is the Gideon, whatever the Gideon translation is, tiny little Bible. Not sure if I've ever really even read this one before, really. So if I look here, Matthew chapter 10. And he had called his 12 disciples to him. He gave them power over unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal all kinds of sickness and all kinds of disease. Now the names of the 12 apostles are these. First, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, the tax collector, James the son of Alphaeus, and Lebbaeus, whose surname was Thaddeus, Simon and the Canaanite. Oh, I feel a little bit embarrassed by how I'm reading some of these. And Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent out and commanded them, saying, "Do not go into the way of the Gentiles, and do not enter the city of the Samaritans, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of God is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out demons. Freely you have received, freely give. Provide neither gold nor silver, nor copper in your money belts, nor bag your journey, nor 2 tunics, nor sandals, nor staffs, for a worker is worthy of his food. Now, whatever city or town you enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and stay there until you go out. And then you go into a household, greet it. And if the household is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. And whoever will not receive you, nor hear your words, when you depart from that house or city, shake off that dust from your feet. Assuredly, I say to you, it is more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. Behold, I send you out as sheep amidst the wolves. Therefore, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils and scourge you in their synagogues. You will be brought before governors and kings, my sake, as a testimony to them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, do not worry about how or what you should speak, for it will be given to you in your hour what you should speak. For it is not you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father who speaks in you. Now, brother will deliver up brother to death, and father his child, and children will rise up against parents, and cause them to be put to death. And you will be hated by all for my name's sake. But he who endures to the end will be saved. When they prosecute you in this city, flee to another. For assuredly I say to you, you will not have gone through the cities of Israel before the Son of Man comes. A disciple is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. Okay. He goes on giving instructions, and then at the beginning of chapter 11, it says, Now it came to pass when Jesus finished commanding his 12 disciples that he departed from there to teach and to preach in their cities. So, what can we sort of see here? We can see from the beginning that Jesus he says that he had called his 12 disciples to him. He gave them power over unclean spirits. Okay, so giving them a bit of a power. Now, then we see how they're broken up into groups from verses 2 to 4, correct? So even inside of the little things like this, we can see a little bit of a story arc. So perhaps at Bible studies and such, people are not thinking about story arcs. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But we do see a beginning or an end of even a mini story, just as you do in any other kind of chapter book, right? We can see even oftentimes a single chapter in a book has its own story arc, or along with the scene in a movie. And here we do see a bit of that. And then we begin to analyze each statement of instructions given from there. It says, verse 9, for instance, provide neither gold nor silver nor copper in your money belts. 10. Nor bag for your journey, nor 2 tunics, nor sandals, nor staves, for a worker is worthy of his food. 11. Now, whatever city or town you enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and stay there until you go out. So we can see very clear instructions, and then we can ask each other, or it says here on verse 8, heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out demons. Freely you have received, freely give. So then we can wonder, step by step, what each of these instructions mean. Now, that doesn't always mean, what interpretation each individual might have. And of course, what each person's interpretation might be. And maybe at some point, my point will be lost from me as I make this short commentary. And at some point, maybe I would not have centered in on that main focused idea. But frankly, I am a little bit out of practice from all these things, but there is a point somewhere in here to try to make that if you go to any kind of religious like thing, I'm speaking mostly, I assume, to Protestant Christians and whatnot who attend, Bible studies and stuff, then at some point we do break down texts, and we do this as best as we reasonably can in those moments of fellowship. And we do have some talent about looking at texts and trying to break down each individual sentence. And we do try to figure that out. And we do try to imagine, what did these people do at different places in different scenarios? Now, I'm quite a bit out of practice for this whole thing about trying to interpret any of this in the Bible and having any kind of discussion, going to any kind of Bible study and stuff like that. But nevertheless, there was a little bit of a point through all this that I could try to make, albeit not great at the moment. But the only way I would get better at trying to make some of this point is by trying to do it continuously, regularly, all the time. So even if right now I feel that my point doesn't come across clear, the only way I can get any better at it would be to try to make a similar point, once every month and a half or so, like that, and then just to try to find another section in the Bible with like a short little story in it that's short enough to do, this is on YouTube, for instance, and you can find brilliant videos of, different parts of the Bible. I'm sure many for the book of Job, for instance. And Jonah's a popular short one to use. And you do see a story. And what are you going to see below it? You're going to see various interpretations. And even if you are anti-theist, you could still see a story there that could be analyzed. And I'm not trying to necessarily proselytize, but even you could just even if you took away any theological things or any imaginings of being proselytized to, you could still maybe appreciate whatever type of story it is, if you have a guy here on Jesus, Matthew 10 verse 8, telling people to go out and heal lepers, that seems like a good thing still, right? Well, I think I should end this video, and maybe my point didn't come off super great, but the only way it's going to come out great is if I just try making the same point a month and a half from now, and maybe I get better at making the same kind of point, just to say that, when you do Bible studies and such, it is a kind of practice of literature. Not that that's the point. I'm repeating myself because I don't think I can make the point the best I could, but have a great day. Bye.